Hey everybody, and welcome to week 2 of CPT202. You've made it through the first week. I'm glad everybody's still hanging on. Hopefully you were able to navigate Canvas successfully and get all your assignments turned in. Remember, if you didn't have a chance to get an assignment done, that's okay. You can get it done and still get it turned in. The one thing that you're not able to do is get back participation points in the discussion. Now, just to clarify, the discussion kind of takes place of what would be in-class discussion participation. So that's why you can still turn in the question, but you are going to lose out on the participation points of engaging with your colleagues, mostly because your colleagues aren't going to be in that discussion anymore. They're going to be in the next week. So just kind of be aware. You can still get the question points, but you aren't going to be able to make up those participation points in the discussion. Anything else though, fair game, get it in. Like I said before, reach out to me. Let me know if you're having any problems getting things done, you're having problems with the assignments, so we can work together to make sure you understand the content. That's the most important thing to me, is to make sure you actually understand and learn so we can deal with everything else that comes up. So this week we're really looking at, what is digital media anyway? It's kind of a buzzword now that gets tossed around quite frequently. And to be honest, digital media can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. You all kind of explained your position on that inside of the discussion questions. So let's talk about, what really this breakdown comes, specifically down to. So it's all about interaction. Digital media allows us to, basically take what was traditional media, or what would be, referred to as print media, and put interaction behind it. So what I mean by that is, traditional media, you have your books, posters, newspapers, TV, radio. They're all one way. It's somebody communicating directly to you through a different medium. Now with new media or digital media, you see things like Kindles, blogs, websites, podcasts, YouTube, and there's a chance for you to interact back and forth between the creator and the audience. Kindle has a way that you can actually share highlights and notes across different books. You see obviously any comment section on any digital media platform. And so it allows us to take that interaction with our audiences to a new place, and really is what drives the popularity. Being able to have that discussion and, as an audience member, leaving your mark or your opinion, interpretation, and engage with the author is something that's super powerful, which is why digital media has become so important in the business world. So I want to touch back on what we were talking about to cover in this class. So like from week 1, we talked about the different types of assignments that you're going to complete to kind of finish up what is a digital media portfolio for business. So we're going to dive into a couple of these things just to really talk about these different categories and kind of prep you as we move into these projects throughout the semester. So just as a reminder, we're covering blogging, web design, podcasting, social media marketing, video production, and then you're going to complete the whole course with a portfolio of your work. So let's jump into blogging a little bit. Blogging is a weird thing that came out of the 90s, was basically online journaling, really. That was kind of where it all came from. And then slowly you saw traditional journalism moving to this online space. So journalism in its traditional form is dying, and it's really sad that you're seeing, a lot of newspapers starting to fall apart. They're just not able to hold on anymore because digital has really become the primary thing in our life and in our society. Blogging is a way to take that written work and get it into a digital form so people can enjoy it all over the world in all sorts of different ways. So we're actually increasing access by moving it online. One example, the Huffington Post was a full newspaper that never printed a single newsprint edition ever in their entire career. It's now referred to more as HuffPost, but they were able to build an entire newspaper organization without ever printing, which is pretty amazing. Blogging is easy and a simple way for anyone to get started. The nice thing is that it's free. As you all know, when you create yours for your assignment, there's really a small barrier of entry between the different platforms, and we'll talk about that more next week. But you're able to define what you want to talk about, who your audience should be, and it's a chance to bring in some income. As I mentioned in the beginning of the class, these are all going to be skills that, I've seen come across in job descriptions and different businesses listings, but it's also a way for you to have a side hustle and be able to generate some income if you enjoy doing any of the things that you're going to learn in this course. There's definitely a freelance market for all of them, and it's a great way to be able to help get the bills paid, especially if you enjoy it. So I want to talk about an example of a blog. So I pulled up Mac Rumors. Now, I'm a huge Apple fan. My whole life is connected to Apple in every different way possible, all through my home and all through my business. So Mac Rumors is a blog that was generated just to talk about all the different things Apple that might be coming, confirm things, do reports on the different live events. And so as you can see, when we kind of look through the different websites here, it's a standard style, right? You see the text and the stories kind of down the center place. There's usually a right-hand column, maybe a top column for ads, and that's how you generate your revenue. And it's just a chance for writers to communicate and easily put out whatever is on their mind. It's a great space that I think, allows anybody to really jump in. Now, I mentioned Huffington Post earlier, so I wanted to show the Huff Post as well. They just redesigned a little bit. So their website changed, their logo changed. They've gone a little more mainstream media looking versus traditional newspaper. They've kind of backed away from that. But this, again, is a full newspaper organization. They have got videos, they've got news stories, obviously ads again, because you got to get those bills paid. And it's a great way to be able to communicate out to the world. And then again, interacting with your readers and your audience through the platform of blogging. Next up is web design. And so people have the ability now to generate a website very easily. It's all, drag and drop. If you don't want to learn coding, that's totally okay. And that's what we're going to be covering in this course, is you're actually going to build a website with a drag and drop content management system client. You can actually spin up a website in under 5 minutes now, which is just absolutely crazy. That you can, get your page together and out on the line for a world to see instantaneously. Design matters, as I'm sure you've all engaged with websites that look terrible or hard to navigate. It really comes down to that audience experience and making sure that you really understand who's going to be interacting with the website and how that's going to happen. So by focusing on usability, you're actually going to look at what would be the easiest way for people to get your message and then your action item. So in terms of your websites, it might be contacting you. So how is it the easiest way possible for a viewer of your website to actually get in touch with you? Ease of access, mobile first, right? So you might have heard that terminology before, mobile first design. Everybody uses mobile devices. The days of people browsing on a desktop computer actually have gone away for the most part. We still see the majority of our users visiting and digesting web content through a cell phone, through a tablet of some kind. So making sure you have considerations for that is really important. And again, spinning up a website for yourself, if you want to do freelance work and design websites for others, it's a great way to generate some income. Again, to be able to pad your pockets a little bit and be able to cover costs that, maybe your standard job doesn't allow you to cover. So the example I always love to bring up here is Chipotle's website. Chipotle has spent a ton of time on really focusing on their user experience, making sure that their website is bright and colorful and grabs your attention, and then also really matches their brand. So the brand experience of Chipotle, right, is what's really, really popular. And just one of those things that I think they do such a great job with. Matter of fact, they've done such a great job that when I was in the Keweenaw area, I would regularly drive down to Green Bay, a 4-hour drive, just to get Chipotle. So that, I believe, is your closest Chipotle, just for FYI. Maybe there's been a couple new ones that have popped up, but that still seems to be the closest. Next up, I want to look at podcasting. So podcasting is kind of where radio has gone to. It can be streamed, it can be downloaded to your device. Anybody can get into podcasting. There's literally no barrier of entry anymore because you've got a microphone on your cell phone. So you can actually use the app we're going to dig into for your projects, and you can record and edit everything on your cell phone, set it live, and put it out for everybody to enjoy. There's no upfront costs. There's a lot of free ways to get your podcast up and going. Obviously, the more sophisticated you want to go, you can get some costs in there and start buying equipment and doing things that way. But it really comes down to being able to share whatever is on your mind. You don't have to get an FCC license, which what you'd have to do if you're doing radio and doing broadcast in that traditional sense. So it just gives you a way to talk about whatever you're interested in. And then again, you can run ads, you can generate some income. And so if you really like podcasting, this is a great space that you can really continue to interact in and have a great time and bring in some money. The example here that I provided is a video podcast. So I've got that link listed below to be able to check out what a video podcast looks like. So the newest trend, as silly as it may seem, recording a podcast in traditional audio only format, but then recording the people who are actually doing the audio podcast. So you're seeing a ton of people obviously get into this. Some of the big players, obviously Joe Rogan, you're seeing, them doing a video and maybe putting it on YouTube, but it's still an audio podcast. So be sure to check that out just to see what that experience looks like and to get a good understanding of what you're going to be doing. For your assignment, you're just doing an audio podcast. You don't have to worry about the video component. Then we're looking at social media marketing. So social media tools allow us to reach huge audiences that we could never do in the past. And for the basics of it, do it completely free. If you build up a following, you can communicate with your audience, through Twitter, through Facebook, YouTube, all these different platforms. And most of them free to get started. Again, you can get into premium features and you can pay and do things that way. But you can create that following and really interact with your audience, poll them directly. You can, you probably all use some sort of social media tool. Maybe it's Instagram, maybe you are on Twitter, but it creates a great global community. And again, you can use that to drive people to your different websites. You will all be using social media to drive people to your podcast, which then again, now you can generate income. So as you can see, the common theme here, all these tools have a way to let you share your messaging and your thoughts with the world and drive some revenue. The primary example here, if you are unfamiliar with, Wendy's has an amazing social media team, especially on Twitter. They have gone after other companies and challenged them. They have a fun time with it. It doesn't have to always be announcements and serious. They have a great time. So if you haven't yet, check out Wendy's Twitter feed. They haven't really been engaging against too many other corporations at this point, but there are some great things if you search out there. You can see some amazing past experiences that they've had out on Twitter. Next up, video production. And so with video production, this is kind of your last major project before your portfolio. And it's one of those things that it's never been easier to get into video production than it used to be. When I got into video production originally, it was using VHS tapes and having to convert that over onto a computer to make it digital to be able to do editing. It was expensive. You needed a really sophisticated computer that could handle the work. Nowadays, all you need is a cell phone. And so it's been super easy with cell phones and cameras and webcams. You can get your video production off the ground. I'm sure some of you love to go on Twitch and watch people stream on there. Again, very simple, cheap equipment to get you started. Instagram has video and they've really leaned into that as well to get reels up there and to compete in that space. TikTok is all video all the time, right? So all these platforms are absolutely amazing. And again, you can generate income, you can get different ad deals, you can have a good time with that. One prime example that I love to share with my class, if you haven't heard of Good Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link, watch the video linked below the lecture here. And they are a couple guys that started in their basement in North Carolina and now run a huge industry, Mythical Entertainment, out in LA. They bought Smosh, so they own Smosh and all of their channels. They continue to help basically creatives in the YouTube space get going. And each of them brings in somewhere around like $12 to $15 million a year. So from working in your basement, doing funny videos to a $15 million a year salary, sounds pretty nice. So definitely check out video production. We're gonna have you do a little bit of video editing and production here in the course. Not a ton, because obviously that could be a whole course in itself, but I hope you're gonna learn some great skills and you'll really enjoy it all together. That pretty much wraps up week 2. Just wanted to walk you through, take some time to explore all these examples, get comfortable, make sure you get your assignments done for this week. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out, let me know. We'll be getting grades updated as soon as possible, so you'll know where you're doing in week 1. If you're missing anything from week 1, make sure to get that done too. And I hope you all have a great week.